Hey everyone, welcome back to Dollar Games. So, when I was a kid, many moons ago,
It's been 84 years.
one of the first JRPGs I ever played was Dragon Warrior on the NES. And wow, saying that out loud makes me feel kind of ancient. And plus, my birthday was last week, so maybe it's time I start looking into Life Alert sponsorship.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
But seriously, Dragon Warrior, or Dragon Quest as we know it today, was a huge moment for me. The funny thing is, it actually flopped when it launched in North America back in 1989. Nintendo had warehouses full of unsold copies, so what did they do? They just gave it away with subscriptions to Nintendo Power. Now imagine that, getting a full JRPG, box, manual and all, just for signing up for a magazine. Man, I wish we got that kind of deal from Nintendo these days.
I'll take the deal.
It's too late for that.
Oh, please give him the deal, Howie.
It's wild to think how that one giveaway helped shape the JRPG scene in the West and even paved the way for Dragon Warrior 2's release in 1990. Unfortunately, I never had that game as a kid, and for whatever reason, I never went back to it as an adult. So I'm going into that one completely blind, outside of what I've heard over the years, honestly. And now, decades later, Dragon Quest I and II Remake is here, giving us a fresh way to experience those legendary beginnings all over again. But before I get into the review, I want to thank Square Enix for providing me with a review code. It's still surreal that I have the opportunity to review a game that led me down my JRPG spiral. So let's dive in and see how these classics hold up today. Alright, as for the story, let me dive into each of the games to give you an understanding of what to expect. Let's start with the story of Dragon Quest I, which is honestly pretty simple, but incredible all the same. It takes place in the kingdom of Alefgard, a land that's fallen into darkness. Long ago, a legendary hero named Erdrick brought peace to the world using the power of the Ball of Light. But that peace, it didn't last. A dark sorcerer known as the Dragon Lord stole it, plunging the land into chaos, filling it with monsters and despair. You play as Erdrick's descendant, a lone hero chosen to reclaim the Ball of Light and defeat the Dragon Lord once and for all. One of my favorite things about the game is that you don't have a party at all. It's just you, a single knight in shining armor saving the world. No one else is required to help because you are the hero, and you look good doing it too.
But enough of that.
As you travel through towns, caves, and castles, you gather clues from villagers, rescue Princess Gwaelin, and eventually confront the Dragon Lord himself to decide the fate of Alefgard. It's a straightforward story, exactly what you'd expect from an NES-era RPG, but the remake doesn't just rehash the same tale. Instead, it delivers a refined version of the original with new characters, dungeons, and added story beats that give this classic adventure more depth without losing what made it special in the first place. Now, with Dragon Quest II, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't have a ton of experience with it outside of what I've heard over the years. But let me tell you, they went all out with this one compared to the first game. Set 100 years after the events of Dragon Quest I, peace has returned to the world thanks to the hero of Alefgard. But as you might expect, evil doesn't stay buried for long. A new villain named Hargon, a dark high priest, rises up with a plan to destroy the world by summoning a demon god known as Malroth. You play as the Prince of Meadenhall, a direct descendant of Erdrick, who sets out to stop Hargon's cult from bringing ruin to the land. Early on, you're joined by two other royal descendants, your cousins the Prince of Cannock and the Princess of Moonbrook, whose kingdom was destroyed by Hargon's forces. Together, the three of you set out across a vast open world. Wait. That's not all we're getting here.
But wait, there's more!
In this remake, there's actually a brand new addition. A fourth party member, the Princess of Cannock. She's another cousin and a welcome addition, especially since she can resurrect allies. And if you've played Dragon Quest before, you know how stingy these games can be with revival spells. So now your expanded party will be uniting scattered remnants of civilization, gathering legendary equipment, and uncovering the path to Hargon's temple for one epic final showdown. And much like the first game's remake, you're also getting a ton of new content. From expanded story moments and new characters to entire areas like the underwater merfolk kingdom that add more depth and life to this classic adventure. adventure. After all I've said about each of the stories, it's safe to say that Square Enix didn't just create a one-to-one remake of each of the games. They could have, and people probably would have been fine with it, but instead, they reimagined them with care. Each new cutscene, every bit of added dialogue, and every expanded moment feels like it was made by people who truly love these classics. Towns that once had a few lines of text now feel alive with personality and purpose. It all adds up to something that feels familiar, but fresh. A perfect blend of nostalgia and modern storytelling. And it's not just about more dialogue, it's about the depth and the emotions you find in these games. The originals didn't really convey that much, but there was moments in Dragon Quest II I was incredibly hooked on due to the motives of each of the heroes and how they deal with their differences and come together to solve a situation they find themselves in. You actually feel the weight of the quest to save Alifgard or the tragedy behind Moonbrook's fall. It's still classic Dragon Quest through and through. It's lighthearted, adventurous, and full of charm, but now it hits harder, lands funnier, and pulls you in deeper than ever before. Now let's talk about the presentation, because honestly, it's stunning and I couldn't keep myself out of this world for the couple of weeks I played it.
It's so beautiful!
The Dragon Quest I and II Remake might be one of the best examples yet of how powerful the HD 2D style can be. It takes that classic pixel art we all remember and breathes new life into it with dynamic lighting, layered depth, and beautifully high-resolution painterly backgrounds that make just every area feel alive. The way sunlight spills across castle walls, the glow of your torch as you explore dark dungeons, and that soft shimmer of the ocean, it all just feels handcrafted with real care and attention to detail. It's like seeing Dragon Quest exactly how you remembered it as a kid, but realized in a way that your imagination always pictured it. I'll throw some NES footage on the screen just to show some comparison about how much things have changed, but also how much they've stayed the same. The developers put a ton of effort into expanding the world while keeping its classic layout intact. Many of the dungeons and maps are almost identical in structure, just slightly expanded for added depth and exploration, and that's a brilliant choice. Longtime fans can still rely on their old tricks and muscle memory to find hidden treasures, but now everything feels richer and fuller and more alive than ever before. What really stands out to me is how well the visual direction ties everything together. The color palette is vibrant, which to me is one of the most welcoming aspects of the Dragon Quest remakes and how they handle the HD 2D style. A lot of other games using this look tend to lean darker or moodier, and the closest we've ever gotten to something this bright and colorful is the Star Ocean Second Story remake, another incredible remake you should absolutely check out. Here, you get vivid greens and blues during the day, soft golds and purples at dusk, and deep moody shadows at night. Every area feels carefully composed, almost like a painting you can walk through. The camera subtly shifts to highlight key landmarks and story moments, giving each location its own sense of scale and atmosphere. Whether you're standing atop a castle tower or wandering through a quiet forest path, there's always a sense of wonder baked into how the world is framed. It's clear that every pixel and lighting cue was crafted to celebrate Dragon Quest's classic charm while providing just how timeless this series can look in the modern era. But graphics aren't everything when it comes to presentation. So let's jump into the audio. I honestly can't fully put into words how I felt when I first booted this up and heard that theme playing. It was such a rush of nostalgia, and I was absolutely not prepared for it. For someone who played the first game growing up, it was incredible hearing everything in stereo sound, because as an old person, I had to enjoy that game in good old mono. Alright, now I feel I keep focusing on my inevitable decay in this video. But seriously though, the soundtrack and sound design in this game perfectly complements the visuals, and I'm completely here for it. Outside of the music, Square Enix went the extra mile and added voice acting, and honestly, it's perfect. Every character feels spot on, from the heroes to the side characters you meet along the way. The voices fit the world's aesthetic beautifully and add that signature Dragon Quest charm we've all come to love. There's this great balance between sincerity and goofiness that the series has always nailed, and the performances here capture that energy perfectly. What really impressed me though is how much the voice work elevates the storytelling. Conversations feel more natural, emotional beats land harder, and those funny little party interactions just make the world feel alive. It genuinely gave me Dragon Quest XI vibes with the way the characters banter, react, and breathe life into every scene. It's such a small addition on paper, but it completely transforms the atmosphere and makes revisiting these classic adventures feel new again. From a gameplay perspective, Dragon Quest has never been a series that tries to reinvent the wheel or push the boundaries of what a JRPG can be. I always find myself comparing it to comfort food, because you know exactly what you're going to get, and that's why you love it. It might not always surprise you, but it hits the spot every single time. And with Dragon Quest I and II, that's exactly what you're getting. There are some great quality of life updates that make these games more accessible, but at their core, they're still the Dragon Quest you remember. In Dragon Quest I on the NES, you played as a solo hero with no party, battling enemies one-on-one in a first-person view. You never fought more than a single enemy at a time, and much of the game's rhythm revolved around that simplicity. In the remake, they've expanded on that by having battles now feature multiple enemies, adding more variety and strategy to every encounter. You'll even see creatures from Dragon Quest II and III appear in the first game, which helps tie the worlds together in a fun way. You can also find scrolls scattered across the map that grant new spells, which is something entirely new to the remake that modernizes the experience. Within those scrolls, you'll find a lot of different skills that otherwise never showed up in these games previously. On top of that, status effects like poison and visible spell vulnerabilities now add another layer of depth to the combat. And in Dragon Quest II, the main cast gets new abilities and spells as well, along with all the enhancements carried over from the first remake. You'll even see Princess of Moonbrook getting abilities like Dig, Nose for Treasure, and Call of the Wind, which, if you know, is something very clever in terms of her character. Finally, having the Princess of Canuck be a part of the actual party in this game changes up the dynamic of the gameplay in the best way. I remember my experience at the preview I got at PAX West and how having her and her resurrection skill made my life easier as I made my way through the lighthouse despite being wrecked by the boss at the time. Just so you all know, I got my vengeance on that this time around and ended up being a little overpowered, but hey, that's part of the charm of Dragon Quest. Outside of combat, there's a lot more to see and do this time around. As you explore the world, you'll find hidden areas filled with treasure or NPCs offering useful hints that point you towards special locations or your next main objective. Mini medals also make their debut here scattered across the world, a welcome addition that connects those remakes to the larger Dragon Quest legacy. The world map has been expanded too, with new regions to explore both by land and by sea, and in Dragon Quest II's case, even under the sea, which is such a cool touch. It all makes these remakes feel like the best of both worlds. Nostalgic, familiar, but packed with enough new content to make the journey feel fresh again. Alright, let's talk about the quality of life features in Dragon Quest I and II Remake. Right from the start, when you boot up either game, you'll be asked to choose your language, Japanese or English, and then whether you want the game to display your current objective on the map. It's a nice accessibility feature, especially if you don't have as much time to play or you just want a smoother experience. But if you're a die-hard Dragon Quest fan who wants to experience the game the old school way, you can turn it off and rely purely on NPC dialogue and your own notes, just like the NES days. And if you realize halfway through that maybe you're not built for that level of commitment anymore, don't worry. You can jump right back into the settings and turn that feature back on. After that, you'll choose your difficulty level, and I actually really like the naming convention here. You've got Draki Quest for easy mode, Dragon Quest for normal, and Draconian Quest for hard. I love that they let you swap difficulties at any time because, let's be real, there's always going to come a point in these games where you just need to grind, and being able to dial things down for a bit is a lifesaver. Now, before diving deeper into the settings, I want to go back to something I mentioned earlier, tracking dialogue and hints. Much like the Dragon Quest III Remake, this game includes a fantastic new feature called Recall. It lets you save important NPC dialogue at the press of a button, which then gets stored in a menu organized by location. So if someone hints at a hidden item or the next step in your quest, you can reference it anytime instead of manually keeping notes. The only slight downside is that dialogue from secret or out-of-the-way NPCs all get lumped into this miscellaneous category, which can get messy if you're saving a lot. Still, it's a super handy feature overall and it fits perfectly in these remakes. Moving into the battle settings, you can now adjust battle speed and trust me, put it on ultra fast. The normal pace feels painfully slow by modern standards, so speeding it up keeps combat feeling snappy and modern. Then there's the helpful settings menu where you can turn on quest help text, which gives you gentle reminders about your current objective without marking it on the map. There are also options to reveal treasure chest locations and secret spots if you want to make exploration a bit easier, and let me stress that, if you want. Some fans might consider that sacrilege, but honestly, with limited time to play, it's a huge help if you just want to find everything efficiently. No shame in using what's there. Finally, let's talk about one of the more interesting toggles, invincibility mode. In Dragon Quest III Remake, this was forced on in easy mode, which killed the fun for a lot of players. Thankfully, Square Enix learned from that and made it optional here. You can play on easy without being immortal, which is how it should be. Invincibility can still be useful if you just want to mindlessly grind levels without worrying about dying, but otherwise, most players probably won't touch it. You can also toggle automatic HP and MP recovery on level up, which, let's be honest, is between you and your conscience. Use it if you want, ignore it if you don't. No judgment here. The one setting I wish they had, and I totally get why they didn't include it, is the option to turn off encounters. I know, that's not very Dragon Quest of me, but hear me out. The encounter rate in these remakes is a bit higher than I'd like. It's not unbearable, but there were definitely moments where I just wanted a little breathing room between battles. Thankfully, you do have the Holy Protection spell to help you with that, which lets you walk through dungeons without running into enemies for a short time. It's super useful, though you'll find yourself spamming it every couple of minutes to keep it active. A small trade-off for peace and quiet, and honestly, that's probably intentional. It keeps that classic Dragon Quest rhythm intact, balancing exploration, risk, and resource management. So yeah, it's my one real gripe, but it's not really a major one. It actually adds a bit of strategy to deciding when you use your magic and when to risk a few more battles. My modern JRPG brain might wish for a no encounters toggle, but my Dragon Quest brain completely understands why it's not there. So after spending a good amount of time with Dragon Quest I and II Remake, I can confidently say that this is exactly how you bring classics back to life. It's not just a fresh coat of HD 2D paint or a nostalgia trip for longtime fans, it's a genuine reimagining that respects where these games came from while making them approachable for a whole new generation. Every improvement, from the quality of life features to the expanded stories to the gorgeous visuals and even the voice acting, shows how much care went into preserving the heart of what made these games special in the first place. What I love most is that Dragon Quest I and II Remake doesn't try to modernize things to the point of losing its soul. It still feels like classic Dragon Quest. That sense of adventure, the goofy charm, the grind, the joy of leveling up and seeing your damage numbers get just a little bit higher. It's comfort food JRPG goodness served in the most beautiful way possible. And while there are a few minor gripes like the high encounter rate or a couple of small little quirks, none of them really come close to outweighing just how fun and heartfelt this experience is. So whether you grew up with Dragon Warrior like I did, or you're stepping into Alifgard for the very first time, this remake is absolutely worth your time. It's a celebration of where JRPGs began, a reminder that even decades later, there's still magic in those early adventures that started it all. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button, you subscribe, and you let me know in the comments what your favorite Dragon Quest game was, or if this remake might be your first. Until next time, I'm Dala, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.